Okay guys, I was just going to show you some of the features that Josh demonstrated with LibreOffice. I'm going to show them in Microsoft Word using Equation Editor. So the first thing we need to do, I just have a Word document open and I want to type in a fraction. I've got each of the things that Josh did, I think I have here, so I can go through the same set. So the first thing I want to do is just type in a fraction 2/3. So I'm going to go up to Insert and I'm going to go down to it should be Object and then Microsoft Equation. And it's just going to give me a little box here to type in, or in which to type. And the first thing I notice is the font is really big right now because I was playing around with that. So I'm going to change that. So I'm going to define the font under size. I'm just going to change that to 12. And so I want to type a fraction. And so if I look up here, each of these little icons or drop-down menus has a collection of different symbols in it. And they're grouped somehow, hopefully logically, that you can find what you're looking for. And so the fractions are in here. I've got a couple different options. I've got a full-size fraction. I've got a reduced size fraction. Also, when you hover over these things, you'll get a little symbol down at the bottom of this box, and it'll tell you what the shortcut keys are for that. So for a full-size fraction on a Mac, it's Command F. So I can just click on this, and I get the fraction. I've got the little boxes in here that I can type into, so I'll say 2/3, and then if I just close that, it should insert that wherever I inserted the equation. So if I double-click on this thing, I can show you the other format, or the other form for a fraction. So if I do, and I remember it was Command T, Shift F, I get a small fraction, and so I can type in 2/3. And again, you just close it, and it'll update your document. And then just like Josh suggested, usually what I do is I copy this. So I'm just going to do Command C, and then anytime I want to type an equation, I just paste. Otherwise, you have to keep going back and insert, or go to Insert and then Object and then Equation. So I'm going to double click on this one to open it up, and what Josh typed in here was the quadratic formula. So I'm just going to start typing. It's x equals, and then I need a fraction. So I showed you where that was. The shortcut is Command F, and then it's going to be the opposite of B. And then I'm looking for plus or minus, which shows up here. And again, this isn't one that I use very often, so I probably wouldn't take the time to memorize it, but if you like, you can. This one's Shift Command K and then the equal sign. And so I've got plus or minus. I need a square root symbol, which is in this drop-down menu, or it's a radical, so it's Command R. And then I've got B squared. Over here, you've got superscripts and subscripts, and these you use the superscripts a lot, so I know this one is Command E. So it's B squared minus 4AC. I just arrow down twice, and I get 2A, and then I just close it. And again, it should update the document. I'm not sure why it's causing these problems with the overlays and stuff, but if you just hit enter and then you can go back and delete it, it straightens that out. And then I think in the next clip, Josh had a discussion about the brackets. So if I go back in and let's say I wanted to put brackets completely around the formula or the expression. So I'm going to say x equals first, and now I want a left bracket. But if I just hit Shift 9, like you would if you were typing, I get a left bracket. But then if I put in a fraction, that bracket doesn't scale like Josh was talking about, and it looks really ugly. So what I would do instead, if you look up here, there's a tab for all the different kinds of brackets that you could ever possibly want. And the shortcut command for this one is Command 9, and you get a set of scalable brackets. And so now I'm going to ask for a fraction, which was Command F. I'm going to say the opposite of B, plus or minus, which is K equals, and then Command R for radical, and then B Command E squared minus 4AC all over 2A. And then again, then you just close it, and it'll pop in. Next thing is just a square root symbol with an index, not a square root, a radical with an index other than 2, and so that's in this drop-down menu, and the shortcut is Command T and then N, and that just gives you a little box that you can type. So I just say 7 for the, I want to take the square, or the cubed root of 7, so I've got an index of 3 and a radical of 7, I believe. And so I'll just go ahead and close that one. So I think the next thing he showed you was how to combine things. So if I wanted to say 5 to these, so Command E is the superscript, and then I want the fraction 2/3, so I'm going to say, and I prefer the small fraction when I'm using it as an exponent, so I'm going to do Command T, Shift F to get a small fraction, and I say 2/3, and I close it. Greek symbols, I think, was the next thing that you talked about. So in here, if you want a Greek symbol, you come up to Style. You've got a couple different choices, and one of them is Greek symbol. And again, this is one that I end up using a lot, so I know this one. It's just Command Shift G, and then you just type the letter. So if I want pi, I just type P for pi. Okay, and then while we're in the text styles, if I try to hit a spacebar right now, it's gonna tell me that I can't move because I'm in the math text, or the math, yeah, it's math style, sorry. So if I instead switch to text, then I can put in a space, so I can say lowercase pi, or, and it's not italics because this is just text. I can put the other space in, and then I can shift back by hitting Command Shift plus. I can shift back into the math style, and then I want a capital pi this time, so I'm going to say Command G to get into the Greek symbols. I'm going to say, and then just like you would, you just try to type a capital P. Oh, I missed it, hang on. So Command G, and then Shift P, and I get a capital pi. And there we go, my mouse had disappeared, sorry. So then another, something else that, something that Josh sort of got into, but I didn't get to see. I still had a question about it, at least. He was showing us how to get a new line, so I want to just show solving a linear equation. So I have 3x minus 9 equals 12. If you need a new line here, you just hit enter. So there's no, it's much simpler in this case. I'm going to keep typing. I'm going to say 3x equals 21, and then I'm going to say x therefore is equal to 7. And so I can just insert that, those steps to that equation. The problem with that is the fact that the equal signs aren't lined up, and that really drives me nuts. So if we go back and we open this up again, if you come up to Format, and the drop-down menu, one of them says Align at equal sign, and so you can just click on that and align them at the equal sign. So I didn't see that in Josh's. I'd like to know if that actually, if you had that feature in there. I assume so, but I didn't see it. The other thing that I haven't resolved, I don't remember if I had somehow, if I had known how to do this before, but I don't like that the 8 is lined up with the middle of this collection rather than the top line. But I, like I said, off the top of my head right now, I can't remember how to adjust that, or if you can. Another thing that I have a lot of frustration with, or I've had in the past, is changing the font. So I'd like to know on Josh in LibreOffice if changing the font is easier than it is here. So, for example, if this was a collection of homework answers that I wanted to put up on an overhead, I might want to change the font so that it was large enough so students could read it. So what I would do is just hit Command A for all, and then I would change the font from 12 to 26. And when you do that, the font inside the text, the equations doesn't change, and so that doesn't really help. You can't see what it says any more than before. So if you want to change the font inside of the text, the equations, you have to do that individually. So if I go here, I would have to go to size and then define, and then you can just type in the font size that you want. So I want 26, say OK, and then I close it, and it should change the font on that. Again, you'd have to do it on every box individually. So hopefully that's helpful. Josh and I'll probably give you an assignment to go along with this so you can practice typing. And that's it.